Welcome to the No Sugarcoating Podcast. I am Amber Romaniuk, emotional eating, digestive, and hormone expert. I am also the founder of amberapproved.ca. I support professional women achieve optimal health through mindful eating, self-care, and overcoming self-sabotage with food. This podcast provides the honest truth on what you really need to create body freedom. The No Sugarcoating Podcast provides information on healthy living, lifestyle changes, nutrition, and diet, and is intended for informational purposes only. Always seek the advice of your healthcare practitioner regarding your health and nutrition program. Hello, everybody. Happy episode 174. I can't believe that it's already episode 174. It's just so great connecting with all of you every week to share. So this week, I am talking about costs of anxiety and fear blocking your health journey, exploring ways fear and anxiety delay your body balance, and overcoming your fears of being worthy to have your health. Yes, that W word, worthiness. That is a huge piece of overcoming emotional eating, building self-acceptance with your body, having your health. And I'm excited to delve more into this today. I think it's just such an important topic. I experienced this. I witnessed my clients experiencing this and just a lot of people in life. So let's dive into the show notes. You can find them at amberapproved.ca/podcast/174. Friendly reminder to subscribe to the No Sugarcoating Podcast on all podcast apps. And I got some new photos taken, and so I've updated all the images, and I'm super excited. So I hope that you are enjoying some of the new graphics. You can click the link in the show notes to subscribe as well. You can subscribe and listen at amberapproved.ca/podcast and listen to all the episodes there. So are you really ready to be done with emotional eating? Are you wanting to gain freedom from emotional eating? How would it feel for you to think about not having to count another calorie, to not have to fear certain foods, to not fear losing control around certain foods when you go to a party, a special occasion, or an event? Are you ready to learn how to build confidence and how to feel safe and at peace with your body? Well, you can learn how to gain your energy, eliminate your stressors, build a happy digestive system, be free of your cravings, and of course, build a healthy relationship with food and your body. So if you're saying, yes, I want these things, yes, this is what I want, I just don't know how to do it, or I know what I need to do, it's just that I'm not doing it. Well, these are great cues, and I would encourage you to email me at info@amberapproved.ca to book your 30-minute body freedom call. This is the last week to save on 6-month and 1-year coaching programs. So booking your 30-minute call secures that savings. So if you are ready to take a different approach, or perhaps you're not ready, but you just know you need to take a different approach, make sure you email me and take advantage of this wonderful offer. We can talk more about your health goals and where you're struggling and where you're seeking support. And again, how a different approach may help you to create a healthy relationship with food and body freedom. Again, that's info@amberapproved.ca with the subject line coaching sale. And make sure you enter the worldwide giveaway that's running again for the final week. So the instructions on how to enter are in the show notes. So just make sure that you scroll down and read those. Super simple. The winner will be announced next week. Again, it's a worldwide giveaway, and I look forward to the rest of your entries coming through. And if you're curious if you're struggling with emotional eating, you can take my emotional eating quiz and also subscribe for my emotional eating video series at amberapproved.ca. You can click the links in the show notes to go to either of those or do both of them. I think it'll give you some great insight, and it may be, the nudge that you need to reach out for support. So enjoy those wonderful gifts that I've created for you. And last but not least, make sure you're following me on Instagram at Amber Romaniuk, as this is where I share a lot of health tips, emotional eating inspiration, recipes, Instagram stories, and there's a whole bunch of great new content coming out this month, and I'm so excited to share it with you guys, and I hope you really like it. So thank you for the 5-star reviews and the ratings that everyone's been leaving me from the giveaway and just in general. Leaving a review and or 5 stars is an amazing way to support the show. And it's a way that I encourage people, if you're liking what you're hearing, definitely leave a review. And if you want to also leave a 5-star rating, you're more than welcome to. How do you leave a review? On your phone or computer, you go to podcasts and search for the No Sugarcoating Podcast. If you're subscribed to me already, you still need to find the show in this way. Once you're on my main page, you can click on reviews, write a review in purple, give me 5 stars if you like, and write a little something, or you can go to amberapproved.ca/review, and it will take you to the page where you can follow the steps that I just shared. And if you have questions, you can submit them to nosugarcoatingpodcast@gmail.com. I please ask that questions are no more than 150 words in length, as health histories need more support and one-on-one coaching will probably be a better fit. And if you're finding a specific eating style isn't working for you, you're struggling with emotional eating, food addiction, digestive issues, inflammation, perhaps you suspect your hormones are off, but you have no idea how to navigate them. Perhaps self-care continues to be a struggle and you are at the bottom of your priority list. Maybe you have a lot of fear and anxiety thinking about embarking on a health journey, or perhaps you've been really struggling with your weight and you just don't know how to gain a handle on it. Well, if you are struggling with any of these things or all of them, you're in the right place, because I'm going to dive into the habits and mindsets to help set you on a different path. Amber Approved offers private coaching for hormonal imbalances, weight loss and digestive issues, emotional eating, and more. Contact Amber at amberapproved.ca to book your 30-minute complimentary consultation today. So this first topic, costs of anxiety and fear blocking your health journey, this is huge. And if you're in this space, please do not be hard on yourself. Please do not feel shame or judge yourself because you've allowed fear or anxiety or both to hold you back from having success on your health journey. But it's to first become aware and acknowledge that these emotions and these feelings, it's very common for them to show up, especially when we're embarking on a different journey. Maybe even sometimes you listen to this podcast and those feelings come up for you because it involves change and it involves taking a different approach. That is completely normal. I mean, it can be super exciting to want to take a different approach, to embark on a health journey, to build a healthy relationship with food. And I tell you, it can also feel scary and uncomfortable and just completely out of your comfort zone because it's unfamiliar. And that can fuel resistance, fear, anxiety, doubt, oh man, am I going to fail again? What if I don't do it? What if I end up back in the same place? So it can bring up a lot of what ifs. And fear and anxiety can freeze us. They can make us feel stuck because they can feel very debilitating. When your body tightens up and you feel this panic and your chest gets tight and your breathing becomes heavier, or you all of a sudden feel very overwhelmed, or you all of a sudden notice your energy just completely drain out of your body and you want to go and hide, or this is what triggers you to want to go and grab that pint of ice cream and numb out from feeling your emotions. Many different parts of embarking on a different journey can fuel this. And so what I want to do is acknowledge some of the costs of letting fear and anxiety block you from succeeding on your health journey, and why it's important for us to acknowledge those feelings and work through them, because they are thoughts. And what I always tell my clients and what I used to tell myself is there is no actual brick wall in front of me that is blocking me from taking action and creating the success I want with my health. It's these mindsets and these emotions that are blocking me. And so if we can learn to become aware and understand our mindsets, and that we're letting a mindset which is invisible get in the way, then we can kind of lighten up with it a bit, laugh about it a little bit, and we can still take action. So we can acknowledge the fear and anxiety, but the key is to take action anyway, because often taking action with things like self-care, which I'll talk more about later, help to reduce and release the fear and anxiety and bring in more trust, peace, calm, hope, joy, whatever it is that you want to fill in with that is more positive. So something that I observed with myself as I reflect back on my journey was fear was a huge part of staying in a self-sabotaging relationship with food and my body. So essentially, and there's this quote, and I don't know if I'm quoting it word for word, but it comes down to, until the suffering becomes bigger than the fear to want to change, the fear calls the shots, or we stay in the fear and the suffering just continues to grow. So, and that's because a lot of people fear actually having success with their health. What if this works? What if I actually feel better? Who could I potentially be? And what potential would I have available to me? What power, what opportunities, what success may I be able to create within my life if I was free of emotional eating, if I was free of body shaming myself, if I loved myself, if I had confidence, if I had energy? Like, what could be possible for me if I actually overcame this, right? Because the food addiction, the emotional eating has become a soother. It's become a comfort. It's become a crutch. And a lot of people don't know what their identity would be without food because we've associated, oh, food is our friend. It's my best friend. It doesn't call me names. It's there for me when I'm feeling low or I need to pick me up. It's there when I'm happy. It makes me feel good. But again, it's just a temporary pleasure or a temporary numbing that's happening. And then after, you finish binging and then you sit there and you're thinking how poorly you feel, you realize, okay, that didn't resolve my issue. But again, when we have essentially revolved our lives around obsessing about food, calorie counting, dieting, obsessing about weight, binging and emotional eating, and so much is focused around food, it can be very difficult to imagine what life would be like if it wasn't so revolved around food, but instead you could enjoy your life more. And for some people, they're like, heck yes, I want that. And I'm really excited to have it. And for other people, it's scary and it is uncomfortable. And it's like, well, I don't know who I'm going to be without food because your identity's been so attached to it. And I used to be that way as well. I'm like, well, I'm kind of sad that I have to let go of this friend that is food. When it wasn't the food that was my friend, it was the sabotage. And the sabotage was comforting only temporarily. And the sabotage was familiar. And the sabotage was a way out. It was a way to not take responsibility for my emotions or for whatever I was feeling. And it kept me stuck. And that makes the ego thrive. And the ego is the self-sabotaging mindset. Your ego wants fear and anxiety to block you from having success with your health journey. Your ego wants you to keep emotionally eating, to continue to shame your body, to continue to fight and suffer and drain your energy, etc., etc. Your ego does not want you to have success, and fear and anxiety are both self-sabotaging mindsets that the ego wants you to stay stuck in so that you do nothing and you don't take any action. So essentially then what comes up is people say, well, I know what I need to do, but it's just that I'm not doing it. There's a lack of action. I don't know how to be consistent. The self-sabotaging mindset plays a huge role in that, as do fear and anxiety. And if you're overwhelmed on a regular basis, if you're often in a negative mindset, it's very easy to flare up fear and anxiety. And especially with anxiety, I see a lot of people who have adrenal fatigue or high or low cortisol, as well as other hormone imbalances and, digestive imbalances that can fuel anxiety. I don't believe anxiety is permanent. I really believe that the more we balance the physical body and deal with the mindset and emotions and create time to do self-care and carve out time to relax and de-stress, things like that can completely go away. I witnessed it myself from somebody who went through a period of a year where I was literally having anxiety and panic attacks almost every day, to being able to work through my emotions. And I've pretty much just never had one since. It's kind of very powerful to see what happens when you change your mindset and you change the way that you're taking care of yourself. And usually with fear is a very powerful emotion because we often let fear limit what we want out of our lives and limit us showing up as a big person, in the sense of like playing a life that is big and full and fulfilling and happy and full of passion and love and energy and creativity and all the things you want in life. But often what is below the fear is a feeling of not feeling good enough. I'm not smart enough, tall enough, talented enough. I don't have enough expertise, so I can't do that. What are people going to think? I fear people are going to judge me, make fun of me because I'm not a certain size. And I especially witness this with my clients who own their own businesses or do speaking or are leaders in their career and job, because they essentially let their body image limit the power that they allow themselves to have. So it's like if I don't feel good in my outfit today, or my blazer's fitting tighter, or I can't wear a certain outfit because I've gained some weight, then they're essentially not taking the promotion. They're not taking on the high-level client. They're saying no to things when they really want to say yes. But because they feel insecure, the fear comes and takes over, the fear of being judged and, oh, what if people are looking at me? And what if I notice that I've gained weight? And it shuts them down. And this is no different with people in their personal lives. So perhaps you're denying yourself of seeing your friends for fear of being judged. Perhaps you're denying yourself of dating or love. Perhaps you're denying yourself of being more intimate with your partner. There's so much that we can deny ourselves from when we let fear of judgment or fear stand in the way. And usually what is below the fear is the feeling of not being good enough and not being worthy, right? So it's very profound that the core is usually about not feeling good enough. And then we create all these fears, and the fear gives us anxiety. And then for some people, the anxiety can lead to what is known as depression, which to me, I don't like to label it as depression. I like to label it as a low mood because it doesn't feel as permanent, and we can work toward balancing the body and the mind to release that. So I really believe everything starts with the mind and the physical imbalances that are going on. And when we have a mixture of both happening, it can just feel very easy to be overwhelmed in your body. And then that can, create all this fear happening all the time, and that can freeze you. So for me, my suffering was huge. I mean, I lost and gained 1,000 pounds in 5 years. I was exhausted. It didn't matter what I ate, even if I ate really healthy I had created my digestive system to be so sensitive. I'd get bloated and get bloated for 10 days. And my stomach would puff out so far you would have thought I was 6 months pregnant. I kept binge eating because there was just the addiction was just so deep. My ego was so in control that it just felt so hard to want to change. I was in so deep. There was so much suffering, but the fear to want to change or the fear of failure really kept me stuck in the vicious cycle for a while. Over that 5-year period, I'd have some success and fall back in and have success and fall back in. And it was very debilitating, and it was hard on me, and it made me lose hope. And I know that a lot of people I talk to are in the same boat and have felt the same way, and just know you're not alone, and it does not have to be that way, but we do have to take a different approach and want something different and be willing to work through the fear. And it doesn't have to be yucky or scary to work through the fear. We can make it light and actually sometimes make it be fun, and we can learn a lot about ourselves. So there's much benefit to actually working through those emotions. But essentially, when I would binge and then I throw it in the garbage can and then I ate out of the garbage can, and I was literally laying on the floor thinking, oh my gosh, I feel like my insides are just going to explode outside of me because I'm so full and in so much pain. That was a defining moment for me because the suffering was so big that all of a sudden, instead of going, oh, well, yeah, but it's just easier to stay in this cycle than it is to deal with all of it, I was like, this is my life. This is my health. I don't want to die sooner than I'm supposed to. I don't want to end up with some illness that I can't get rid of. I don't want to keep hiding at home and isolating. I don't want to miss out on love and having a family one day and all the potential that is available for me in this life, which we are all worthy to have success in all areas of our lives. And it really was like, I've got to figure out how to stop. I am done suffering. I found my courage. It's like I needed to dig through the garbage can to find my courage and to have a wake-up call of this is not healthy. This is not supportive at all. I'm a complete mess. I've hit rock bottom and I need something different. And I knew that I had to figure out how to overcome the fear and how to understand why I was binging and so addicted to food and so obsessed with my weight and wanting to look a certain way. And that was a compilation of many different things that kind of added up over my first 21 years of being here. And, I see this with people on their journeys, in that people want certain results, like, oh, I want the energy. I want to lose weight. I want to overcome emotional eating. I want to be happier. I want to be confident. And then when we start to have the conversation around, here's the action steps to take, that's where the fear and anxiety comes up, because it's like, oh my gosh, this is unfamiliar. This is uncomfortable. What if it doesn't work? It feels just off. What if I have success? I just don't feel worthy of success. That's what people say to me, right? Or, oh, this is going to be hard, or it's scary. I'm afraid to ask for help. I feel like I have to do this all on my own. That's all your ego. That's all limiting mindset. And that's the kind of mindset stuff that keeps you stuck. And what that costs you is your health. It costs you overcoming emotional eating. It costs you building a healthy relationship with food. It costs you balancing your hormones and improving your energy levels, balancing your digestion, having a happy, healthy liver, eliminating food sensitivities. It costs you having worse cravings. It costs you your confidence. It costs you your security within yourself, your happiness. And it costs you in your relationships with your friends, your family, your loved ones. It costs you in your business. It costs you in your career. It costs you in all areas of your life. This does not just show up in one area. It shows up in all areas. When people say, well, I've done all these courses, I've bought all these programs, but I've never even opened the book, or I haven't succeeded, but I have it all. I just haven't done it. And so then we see this procrastination. And what's usually below the procrastination is the fear. What if this works? What if I have the success? But if you don't feel worthy, you can sabotage yourself by doing nothing or going and again, emotionally eating, right? Or being hard on yourself about your weight. Yes, it can feel scary to take the focus off of weight loss, weigh scales, numbers, calorie counting, meal plans, fad diets, and onto actually focusing on how to learn how to love your body and take care of your body and listen to your body. But it's the learning how to pay attention and build awareness with your body and take care of your body that are actually lifestyle transformational changes that will be with you for life. And when I was talking to a client earlier, and she had really become aware of how much of her identity was caught up in clothing sizes and in, her self-worth being defined in success and, how perfect she could be with food. But what she was realizing is what was below that was there's a massive void there, and that she wanted to fill that void with food and with negative self-talk and things like that. And because of that, she's in a space where her health has failed her, and she'll get better, but that she's really suffered a lot because of it. And so it's important for us to recognize we can talk about it all we want. We can fantasize about, having a different opportunity or taking a different approach all we want. We can buy all the books. We can make all the fancy meal plans. We can hire the best personal trainer in the world. But if we're not willing to go inside and do the inner work and learn how to release the fear and the anxiety, chances are you stay stuck in the negative self-talk, the emotional eating, the self-sabotaging behavior. And that may not be for everybody, but I observe that a lot with people that I work with, and I saw that with myself. And it's something that can be changed, but just know it takes time. You can't rush or force yourself out of fear and anxiety, but we can learn how to understand what triggers it and use different ways to navigate and release and gain freedom from them. The No Sugarcoating Podcast is proud to partner with Dr. Segal's Energy Socks. Dr. Segal's makes fashionable compression socks for the effective relief of tired, achy, swollen legs. Visit drsegals.com and choose from a variety of styles. Dr. Segal's compression socks are truly socks with benefits. And so that brings me to my second point of exploring ways fear and anxiety delay body balance. So one of the biggest things, and I've been talking about this, is fear and anxiety freeze you, so you do nothing. You take no action. You have knowledge, you have tools, or maybe you don't have any at all, but you just have no idea what to do. And it's scary to think about having success. And it's also scary to think about failing. So it's like, well, I'm doing absolutely nothing. Head in the sand, going to go binge watch TV and just numb out, right? But it's like, what does it cost you to not take action? What is it costing you to stay stuck? How much is it costing you financially? In fact, pause the podcast, grab a pen and paper, and I want you to write this down because I want you to see what it's costing you. How much do you think it's costing you financially to stay stuck in the vicious cycle of emotional eating, body shaming, diet mentality, and keep continuing on with quick fixes? Hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. It cost me $50,000 in 5 years. And that was just the financial cost, let alone those 5 years of my life that I isolated, right? What is it costing you physically to stay stuck, to not take action? Is it your hormones? Is it your weight, cravings? Is it your digestion is a nightmare? Is it you're completely exhausted and you have so much brain fog you can't focus and function at work? Perhaps it's that you can't show up properly in your business and it's costing you money there. It's costing you clients, potential opportunities. Like, these are life-changing costs. This is not just small, this is huge. Maybe it's costing you that your relationship is not healthy because you continue to snap and blame everything on your spouse or your children or both instead of taking responsibility, right? What does it cost you emotionally to feel insecure and to be negative all the time and to have anxiety and to be flustered and overwhelmed? How does that impact your life? Because to me, these are some of the biggest costs, and this limits us from living our fullest life and enjoying and nurturing ourselves and our relationships and showing up to play a big game in this life. Because when you are 90 and you're looking back on your life, what do you not want to regret? And what do you want to celebrate and go, I am so proud that I mustered up my courage to deal with that stuff so that I could have freedom and enjoy my life? Because I don't think you want to look back and go, I regret being hard on myself for my whole life. I regret beating myself up all the time. I regret that I've been fighting and I'm still fighting with body image and emotional eating. I don't think you want to be regretting anything. You want to be celebrating your life. So another way that fear and anxiety can delay body balance is that you procrastinate. So perhaps you talk about doing it, but what is familiar for you is actually people pleasing, doing things for other people, thinking that laundry and dishes and other tasks like that are far more important than your own health and well-being. So whilst you have all the great intentions of doing things for yourself, it actually feels very scary to stop and get quiet with yourself and connect because you fear being vulnerable with yourself. You fear actually hearing what your body is trying to say to you, or you fear facing your self-talk. And again, there's a fear of success of like, well, what's possible here by me doing this? What is possible by me being mindful and taking the time? What if I felt better? What if I was more confident? It can be scary to imagine all the good that could happen. But procrastination essentially is really no different than not taking action, in that maybe you're taking action for things on other people, but you're not taking action for yourself. And that usually triggers emotional eating. That triggers more stress in the body and the mind. And then again, you end up overwhelmed. You end up with cravings. You end up eating. You end up potentially having to then restrict and over-exercise. You're in negative self-talk. Perhaps you're struggling with a lot of physical pain. And maybe that's part of this, is that you're in a lot of pain because you have inflammation and digestive issues and you're not taking the time for yourself. Maybe that's why you're exhausted. Maybe that's why you have brain fog, because you're procrastinating and then you're going and doing everything for anyone else. And then you get to the end of your day and you realize you haven't done anything for yourself. And then that makes you angry. Very powerful, again, what a mindset will do and where a mindset will lead us and where it will not lead us. People pleasing is a huge part of how fear and anxiety can delay body balance, because what ends up happening is with most people, if they're insecure, if they don't feel good enough, they want to prove to others that they are. So they'll, give everything to everyone else and say yes to everyone else, even though they want to say yes to themselves, but for fear of letting someone down or for fear of someone judging them and not getting the validation that they're good enough, it's more comfortable to say yes to other people, because saying yes to other people feels better temporarily than dealing with the fear of judgment or the fear of letting someone down, when really what's happening is you're letting yourself down. So when you say yes to everyone else and no to yourself, you probably have a very overbooked schedule. And what ends up happening is that you have no white space in your schedule for self-care for yourself. You're having to multitask with everything and you don't have time to eat properly or hydrate or check in and see how you're feeling. And this fuels fear and anxiety. And it's like, well, good gosh, I'm so overwhelmed. I can't even imagine now going on a health journey. Like that just overwhelms me even more. When it's even more important and even more reason to go on the health journey because of all the overwhelm, and to get support to overcome that, and to support to make yourself a priority, support to overcome the emotional eating. I had a conversation with a client today and we got on the call and she was very overwhelmed. And we did some deep breathing and we talked through what are solutions to help her ease her overwhelm. And, we came to a conclusion that some healthy boundaries need to be set, and her just being consistent with her self-care was important. And she completely shifted by the end of that 30 minutes. And it's so profound what can happen when we are willing to take our energy off of the overwhelm and to go, okay, what's creating this scenario? What are the solutions and what actions do I want to take to gain more peace so that I can go back to feeling more at peace within myself and more calm, right? And fueling the overwhelm isn't going to do anything, but looking at what else is possible is going to help. It's very difficult though to come up with solutions and want to, take different approaches when you're in overwhelm, fear, or anxiety, right? So that's why it's important to carve out the time to do self-care, to take care of yourself, to release and work through your emotions so that you can manage any stress that comes your way more mindfully, and you will diminish the fear and the anxiety. You will have more time to enjoy being present and have joy and happiness and peace and be kinder to yourself. And then you show up in life differently toward everything and everyone else in your life. And again, it has a very profound impact. Often fear and anxiety, because they're so uncomfortable, people want to numb out or use food to suppress feeling emotions. I know for me, fear and anxiety, I used to completely binge and numb out with food so that I wouldn't have to feel them. But of course, then the binge would thereafter fuel fear and anxiety because obviously my body did not feel well and I felt a lot of guilt for doing what I did. But because these are very uncomfortable emotions to feel, and because in society it's like, it's been deemed, don't feel, like if you feel, it's almost like there's something wrong with feeling, so people think they have to just like shove it down, numb it down, not deal with it. But this has a lot of impacts on our health, our emotional and physical health. And oftentimes it fuels more addictive behaviors and sabotaging behaviors. So maybe it's food and alcohol, maybe it's just food, maybe it's shopping, right? For some people, it's very hard drugs, and that's life-threatening. But there's a lot of pain there for whatever the reasons are. And it definitely does not help you to work through to just numb with food or to go on another diet or to hop on another, fad eating style. And another thing that's really part of this is continuing to focus on the diet mentality and the weight loss mentality. The more we focus our energy on numbers and weight and calorie counting and obsessing about all of that, the more we set ourselves up for failure, because we're not connecting with ourselves. We're not building a healthy relationship with self. We're not working through our emotions. We're not shifting our schedule to make ourselves a priority. We're not assessing our hormones or digestion or working on balancing blood sugar. And we're not working on overcoming emotional eating. And that's where we have to shift away from a diet and weight focused mentality and shift the focus to a more, health related, mind body related, emotional journey. Because that's what's going to help you have transformation that's going to last a lifetime. And oftentimes people keep emotionally eating and are not addressing that, which I really think, honestly, if you get anything out of today, the missing ingredient that people are, missing out on when they focus on the diet weight journey is that they miss out on overcoming the emotional eating, which is the huge piece that must be dealt with. It must be dealt with in order for you to balance your health, to have a more healthy relationship with food, with your body, your emotional health, because that's a massive stressor on the body to be in emotional eating and then restriction. And then what ends up happening is when we're in that mode, we damage the body more. We damage the hormones more, the digestion. We have more inflammation in your mental health, right? Like we can get into such negative self-talk, and that doesn't have a good impact on the body either. But addressing the emotional eating is one of the first things we must do, because it is a massive stressor and it is a vicious cycle, and we have to work on breaking that pattern. But we do need to create the time in our schedule to be willing to work on that. And we do need to be willing to say yes to ourselves and sometimes no to others. So as you can see, this is complex. This is not just about, oh yeah, I'm just going to do something for a week and then everything's going to be different. This takes time to change. This honestly takes at least a year. Most times it takes more, but this takes time to change. And this comes down to self-worth. So as you embark on a different journey, you slowly build worthiness and feeling good enough. It takes time to do that, but it's fully possible. We have to just be open to a different approach. And even if it feels scary or you feel anxious, it's to acknowledge that, but it's to move forward anyway, because you will not regret it. I've never heard anybody say, I completely regret going on this journey because now I feel better and I'm healthier and I'm happier and I worked through my fear and anxiety. Nobody ever says that. People always say, I wish I would have done this sooner, but everything happens in divine timing and everything happens when it's meant to. So let's talk a little bit about overcoming your fears of being worthy to have your health. I really believe everyone is worthy to have their health. I believe you're worthy to have success in all areas of your life. And it's about making a choice first to want to take a different approach and gain freedom from the diet and the weight mentality. That is a huge shift, and that's a huge turning point. You've got to want to be ready. You've got to be open, and you've got to want to be willing to go deeper and take the time on your journey. So muster up your courage and bring in patience. Another thing is being aware of the fear and anxiety and going, I recognize you're there, but I'm going to work through this. And it's using self-care. So it's actually carving out the time and taking the time to do relaxing self-care that is going to support gaining freedom from the anxiety and the fear. understanding your hormones and how that may be fueling those emotions, your digestion, your cravings, your blood sugar, dealing with the emotional eating. Again, there's many pieces of the puzzle here that are important to work through to have that full freedom and support your optimal health. But self-care is one of the biggest pieces, because when you do self-care, it helps you to get calm and grounded. And the more calm and grounded you are, the more present you are. The more present you are, I tell you, the ego can do nothing when you're present. Self-sabotage cannot take over when you're fully present, because when you're present, you're in your power, and that's when you have freedom. So it's like, let go of the past, let go of the future, which doesn't exist. Create yourself to be present. So something as simple as meditation, deep breathing, or focusing on, things that are around you. So like, I see my lamp, I see my cup, I see my stapler, I see my lip chap, and just, doing an exercise to make you become present allows you to keep your power. So I talk about this all the time, but taking the time to make yourself a priority is going to help end the suffering. We've got to be willing to take the time, and we've got to be willing to work through and release the old stories about procrastination, people pleasing, perfectionism, and all these stories, because the stories don't serve us, and the stories fuel the suffering, and they also fuel the fear and anxiety. You deserve something different. You're all worthy to have something different. And I hope that this helps you to give it a deeper understanding as to why you may be experiencing those emotions. It's natural. It is part of the journey, and they do calm down and go away. Just know that. So if you are wanting to further connect, again, take advantage of the last week of the coaching sale. Email me at info@amberapproved.ca and book your 30-minute body freedom call. Let's have a conversation about these emotions and about how you're feeling and what hasn't worked and what may be possible for you. Again, it's transformational, it is life-changing, and you totally deserve to have that. The show notes for today's episode can be found at amberapproved.ca/podcast/174. As I always say, there is no better time than the present to take action on your health, so take action now. Have a beautiful day and a great week, and I will look forward to sharing a whole new podcast with you next Sunday. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe, review, and rate this podcast and share it with your friends. You can find me at amberapproved.ca and follow me on Instagram and YouTube at Amber Romaniuk. Join me next Sunday for another brand new episode and another step toward body freedom.